Welcome to Confidence to Action, the podcast where we explore what it really takes to help athletes turn belief into performance and confidence into action, both on and off the field. I'm your host, Coach Tony Everett, founder of My Personal Best Coaching. Each episode, you'll hear real stories from parents, athletes, and coaches and walk away with practical tools to build mindset strength, resilience, and trust in the process. Let's jump in. So, welcome to my guest this morning, Annette Oren. She is a fantastic entrepreneur, business owner, coach, and she's helping me out actually with my coaching business. She's a coach to coaches. She does some fantastic work. And I wanted to talk to Annette this morning because you've got some previous athlete stories that you've shared with me along the way about your dad and about how he was involved and all of that good stuff. So that's why I'm love to have you on the show this morning. Tell me more about you and what you do and your coaching business.
I am so excited to be here. First and foremost, Tony, I love the work you do. I love working with you. I just feel like we always jam. So this episode's going to be so
Yeah.
good. And I do want to highlight that I'm actually going to be posting this episode on my podcast as well. And some people are even going to be shocked to hear that I am a former athlete. I think most people don't know that about me unless, they've been around since my high school years. And so I'm really excited to share those stories. But to answer your question, I am a business owner. I'm a co-founder of a company called Cohere, as you know, Tony. And in our company, Cohere, we really help coaches and online service providers launch and scale their business online with our all-in-one platform. And then we also provide coaching, community, and tools to help everybody build their dream coaching business online. And I'm really passionate about helping other coaches because every single person who starts a coaching business is an expert at what they do, and you're passionate about helping other people. That's why you start a coaching business. And so it's really about helping everybody, bring their impact online and helping them do their life's work, their purpose driven work. So that's what I do.
Brilliant. And it's fantastic stuff. It is fantastic. And so you're helping me with my personal best coaching. You've got the platform and we've done launches of products and all that good stuff. And we've often had conversations, and because I love talking about student athletes and the work that I do to help them, you've often shared your stories of a high school athlete. So tell me, what did you do in high school?
Yeah. And I love this because whenever working with Tony, I just want to share, there's so many times that I'm like, oh my gosh, I could relate to that because I was your ideal client. And one day I'm going to be that hopefully parent who's also a parent of a student athlete. So I could totally relate to the work that you do, Tony. And in high school, actually, my background is I started running in high school, actually in the cross country team. And when I started in cross country, I wasn't necessarily super passionate about the long distances. However, when I started the off season at the time, we would do these sprints as part of our training. And I remember the very first time we did those sprints, I kind of blew everybody out of the water, and my coach at the time, that time that my parents picked me up, the coach was like, just so you know, Annette is really, really fast. And I think she should join the track team. And so my parents kind of encouraged me. My dad used to be on the track team when he was in high school. So he's like, yay, she got my genes. He pushed me to do track and field. And so I ended up joining the track and field team my second year of high school. And I went on to actually the first year, it was freshman year that I did. And then I went on to become MVP of the track team for the next 3 years in a row, number one in my county. I think I'm forgetting the terms, Tony, because it's been a while, but I think it was in the county, I got first place as well. And then we went on to CIF finals. And then I got third place in all of San Diego.
Fantastic.
In hurdles. And so it was it was a very great time in my life, and it built so much confidence and resilience being a young athlete, because I noticed that as an entrepreneur nowadays, I kind of have that work ethic from being an athlete where I'm I know there's, the practice is not always fun. There's times that you're not going to want to show up. There's times that you're going to feel resistance. and like you show up anyway and you know that it pays off when you do. And so there's so many things that translate from sports into entrepreneurship.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that you kind of see that. And the one thing that I would say about the interesting thing that I'm learning from entrepreneurship is when we're coaching sports, we practice a whole bunch. There's a ton of practice and little competition. But when you get into real life, there's a whole bunch of competition and real stuff and very little practice. That's what I love about what you do, because you're coaching people as I would be coaching people. So you're actually increasing the practice to game ratio, if you want to call it that in a
Mhm.
sports term.
I appreciate that reflection because it's so true. It's like sometimes we're just focused on the output and the results when really it's the inputs, the
Mm-hmm.
practice that leads to the results that you want to see, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes people think it's just about focusing on the end goal. It's like, no, it's about the journey that's helping you get there and
Yeah.
the skills and all of these things that take practice.
Right. And it's almost like we've gone through high school, college. We could have played sports there. Again, and I'm going to use that, lots of practice to game ratio. And then we kind of leave that world and we think that that's all of my training done. Right. And so now it's
Mhm.
all just little practice with tons of game ratio. And that's what I want us to think about on the coaching idea is, how do we actually balance that out and have more practice? Because we need more practice as business people and entrepreneurs.
So true. I love that because it's like even in sports, nobody ever expects to like when I joined the track team, I never expected to be number one like
Hmm.
right when I joined, right?
Yeah.
It was more like, oh, let's just show up to practice. Let's see how I can get better. And then the result kind of happened.
Hmm.
As a, like I was never actually that was never my number one goal when I started running. I was never like, I'm gonna be number one in my high
Hmm.
school. Although I will say that when I started reading The Secret in high school, I was 16, I was in track already. And I remember being like, I'm gonna test this out. Like once I
Yeah.
started noticing that I did have, fast twitch muscle, like the fast twitch,
Yeah.
thing
Muscles
that
group. Yeah.
makes you fast, the
Yeah.
muscle group, I realized I'm like, okay, I do have the innate capability, but I know that I need to practice it to be really good.
Right.
And then I used mindset work in the
Yeah.
manifestation practices that I was learning from The Secret to be like, let's just test this out when it comes to running. And I do remember having the awareness of being like, I'm just going to see if I can be number
Hmm.
one. Like,
Hmm.
let's believe that I can and let's
Yeah.
let's see what happens. And so it was really cool that it did pan out that way.
That's awesome. I love that stuff. And
Yeah.
the mindset work,
Yeah.
this is my world, right? I love this stuff. And talking about practice to game ratio, in any sport, there is a lot of physical work, tactical work. There's tons of that practice, but everyone leaves the mental game to chance, right? They just go, oh, well, we'll turn up and play. And if this isn't right, then how is the body going to follow, right? Because it does that. The body follows the mind. So if you're going into your final year and racing, thankfully you got The Secret, but if you went into that going, well, I don't know, I'm uncertain, I'm unsure, would you have performed as well without that?
Yeah, exactly. I really don't think so.
Mm,
I think it was a combo of like really doing and I didn't even know it was mindset work, but it was like believing in myself
mm-hmm.
and also having a dad. I know we've talked about this, but like having a dad that showed up to my
Yeah,
practices and to my games and really believed in me too.
yeah,
And that's why I love that you also work with the parents of young
yeah,
athletes because I find that that's so important. I know sometimes maybe somebody might not have a good relationship with their father or with their mother, and
yeah.
that might not be something that you could have, but at least having some type of adult figure, whether it's a coach,
Mm-hmm.
a parent, or an amazing, like, actual coach that
Yeah,
in your sport that is encouraging you.
right,
And I've always been somebody that does so much better when somebody is like empowering me versus being like, you better not lose. That
right.
doesn't work for me. Like if somebody says don't lose, all I can think of is like, I'm losing. You know what I mean?
I know.
But
Well,
if I,
yeah,
yeah, and
we
some
prime the
parents do
brain.
that, right?
Yeah, yep,
Yes.
yeah. Don't
Yes.
lose.
Yeah.
And
Don't
there's so
lose. Exactly.
much
It's like
pressure, so much
too
pressure.
much pressure.
Yeah.
Yes. And so it's like the right amount of pressure, and maybe you could talk on this, Tony,
Yeah.
but I find that the right amount of pressure is helpful. But I remember like my dad's words, like it was always very much like, remember, like you've been practicing, you're
Yeah.
amazing, you're gonna do so good. Remember that you have this gift.
Yeah.
You've been, showing up to every practice. So it wasn't just about like, I'm getting lucky. It's like, oh yeah, I've practiced
Hmm.
and I have the skill and my dad believes in me and he's at
Yeah.
my game. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it, right? It is the idea of, so tracking back a little bit here. Just last night, I spoke to an athlete who's on my daughter's soccer team, and she's actually going to be in a CIF game, flag football, on Saturday. And last night, she sat there and went, I'm terrified that we're going to lose. What if we're going to lose? What if we're going to lose? I went, well, time out, time out. You're not even at the game yet. What if you lose? Who cares? First off, but that when you go into a game with that mentality, you're already catastrophizing the outcome and putting so much weight on the outcome that your body just tenses up and gets nervous. So you're much more likely to make mistakes. And so the idea is, how do we program the mind to at least be open to your abilities, right? You just
Mm.
said it. Okay, I trust my abilities. I trust my training, right? Because we never rise to the level of our goals and expectations. Never. We always fall to the level of our training,
True. So it's
right?
like you need to have the evidence, like I've been putting in the work.
Right. And I know this girl,
Right.
and I know she works hard at training. I know she's a great player. And so, okay, how do we then focus the mind on, I've done all of this work? And I talk to athletes, talking about expectations. I talk to athletes about this idea of the gap and the gain. And the gap and the
Mm.
gain says that we're kind of wherever we are today. This is where we are today, right? And for those listening, I'm actually putting a level with my hands, right? So then there's this expectations which is in front of us or above us. That's our expectations, and right. And so there is a gap
Mhm.
between where we are and our expectations. And typically, if we focus on that gap, we're worried about not being enough. We're worried about never making it to where we want to go. It's almost like we're standing on a big plane and we see the horizon in front of us. And we say, my expectation is to reach that horizon. Well, the problem is, when you reach that horizon, the horizons move to another place. And that's what happens when we're always working to expectations. So the expectations of wins, losses, performing well, they're all creating a gap, which puts pressure, which then stops us performing at our best. But if we actually look back
Mhm.
at where we've come from, oh, wow, look at that. I've put in the work. I've trained. I've been coached. I know how to throw the ball. I know how to collect the ball. I know how to run effectively. I know how to use my arms to actually increase my speed as a track runner, right? All of these things, we can look back. That's the gain. That grows
Mhm.
confidence and allows me to step into my game at game time and go, yeah, I'm ready for this. And it creates a quiet confidence, not the rah rah type, but a quiet confidence that says, yeah, I've put in the reps. I know what I'm doing.
I love that you touch on this, Tony, because I do want to share with everybody here. I'm relating this to entrepreneurship as well, which I'll get to, but something that I noticed when I graduated high school. So I wanted to have that similar competitive, but also like discipline that I
Hmm.
had in high school with track. And so I don't know if you knew this about me, but in 2012, I started doing bodybuilding competitions.
Hmm.
And when I started the bodybuilding competitions, it's similar to when I started track. It was never at first about like, I want to be the best in the world. And it wasn't about that, but it was just like, how can I push myself to be so disciplined that I do accomplish something really cool out of this?
Yeah.
And I had some goals. I knew what I wanted to do, but I remember when I finally started, seeing that I was going to compete, I remember telling myself, I am so confident in the fact that I am putting in the reps every single day. And I remember being one of those people, like I was sticking to the meal plan.
Hmm.
I was doing every single workout. I wasn't missing anything. And so as soon as I realized that, I'm like, I knew other friends who were like having cheat meals, like they
Yeah.
were kind of like not putting in the effort. I was like, I put in the effort. I was like, I'm going to practice what I did in track. I'm showing up to each practice. I'm gonna get first place. Let's try this again. I did it with track. Why can't I do it again with
Yeah.
bodybuilding? And so I practiced the same like visualization and like putting in the reps and trusting in my abilities because I'm showing up that I did in track. And then I did end up like getting first place, winning nationals, getting my IFBB pro card. So all of the results ended up coming from the inputs.
Yes.
And also from the mindset and belief, of course, that I could, but the belief didn't come before I was actually putting in the reps. It was like I was putting in the reps and then I was like, oh, I could do this
Yeah.
because I show up for practice kind of
Right.
thing. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. And
Yeah.
again, it's something that I tell my athletes and parents is confidence comes from action. Confidence is not a feeling, right? It's not something that I go, I've got to feel confident before I compete, right?
Yeah.
Confidence comes from, oh, look at that. I've put in the reps. I've put in the practice. I know I'm disciplined. I can now step into this because I trust myself. It's an inner trust. So confidence is an action. It's a belief to step into that arena and go, yeah, I'm ready. Fail or win or be successful, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I'm going to trust myself and I'm going to turn up as the person I know I
Yeah.
can be. Yeah. And
Well,
in
and
the world of
anytime you've said that, I'm like,
entrepreneurship,
mm,
massive stuff.
totally. It's like anytime you say this, I'm like, yes, when it comes to entrepreneurship, because you never feel ready
Hmm.
until you do the thing. It's
Right.
like that's why the confidence, you got to put in the reps. You can't say, I'm gonna, launch something online and I'm ready for it. If it's your first time, of course there's gonna be fear, but you're not actually gonna feel ready until you do it. And you're
Right.
not gonna feel the confidence until you've done it. And so the faster we can get to just doing the thing,
Yeah.
the more we start building that inner belief, like, oh yeah, I just did this. It's
Yeah.
possible. Let me take it a step further the next
Right.
time. So I
Yeah.
love that reminder. Whenever you say that, Tony, I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
This is
Absolutely.
also something we've talked about that I want to touch on is, with entrepreneurs who have been athletes before, there is this kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's almost like they're not afraid of hard work
Right.
because they've put in the reps before
Hmm.
with their sports. How do you feel like if somebody has never done sports before and they jump into entrepreneurship? I guess the question I'm asking is like, how can they develop that
Hmm.
essence? Like, I don't know, because
Yeah.
I've had it from sports, but I noticed that a lot of entrepreneurs who haven't been athletes, they kind of shy away from the hard work. They're like,
Yeah.
It shouldn't be hard." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "No, it should be."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it? Maybe just touch on that.
Yeah, and it's true. Obviously, there's a ton of successful entrepreneurs that have never been athletes, but they've still done something in the world of maybe being a student, something around that line, right? So if you're still
Mhm.
putting the work as a student in math or English or whatever, there's something that you've put the work in. And typically, entrepreneurs have a passion. And so their practice ground has been the thing that they've been doing, right? Electricians, for instance, right? Tons of electricians, handymen, plumbers, they've worked for years at their trade, typically, and they're passionate about what they do and they know all of the stuff. So then they step into running their own business. They're
Mhm.
good at what they do, electrician, plumbing. They might not have the skills as a business owner to understand where to put this, which is where a coach comes in, right? Now you get a coach to help guide you on the direction of business owner. It's no different to an athlete going through sports. When you were a kid in high school, you had a coach to help you with the technique, with the
Yeah.
actual running technique of that. In the world of business, it's the same. If I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I can be fantastic, naturally good at being an electrician, right? I know what I'm doing,
Yes.
but I need a coach to help me with the other side of that, right? The little techniques of running a business.
I love how it literally translates exactly
Hmm.
to sports in that
Yeah.
sense. Because as I was saying earlier, it's like you need somebody who believes in you before
Yeah.
you believe in yourself. So that could be a coach, a parent. I mean, ultimately, it's ideally a coach because you're
Yeah.
going to need the coach also for the skill. And then you're going to need the coach, like you're saying, yeah, like even, for accountability purposes,
Yeah.
making sure you're showing up. And
Right.
it's somebody who you respect, who you're like, I don't want to let them down. I'm going to show up, you
Yeah.
know? And so I love that all of this, translates to like the power of having a coach in
Mhm.
anything that you want to be better at. Like
Yeah.
it's the cheat code to faster success. Like
It
get
is.
get yourself a coach
Yeah.
who knows how to guide you and who
Yeah.
believes in you.
And it amazes me that in the world of business, there aren't more people with coaches. I talk to so many people and they say, "Oh, why do we need a coach for?" I'm like, "Well, every professional athlete has a coach. Why wouldn't you think you're different in the world of professional business? It's actually a tool to help you be better at what you do." So,
Yes. And I'm even seeing that like with your work. I feel like every parent needs a coach too.
right.
Like every parent should have a coach to know how to be the best
Mm,
parent to their kid,
yeah.
empower their kid, but also, be able to just be that support system for
Yeah.
them. Because I think some parents might think that they're doing a good job. And I'm not a parent yet, so who am I to say this?
Yeah.
But they might think that they're doing a good job. But then I remember in track, and I've told you this before, like hearing so many parents in the stands, like being like, kind of like that don't lose
Yeah.
mentality, like, just like kind of like
Yeah.
angry instead of empowering. And
Yeah.
so I just think it's so important the work that you're doing, Tony, for parents
Yeah.
and then also, of course, for the athletes.
Thank you.
But
And
like
that's
the parents need it too.
Yeah, and I was going to transition to that side of the parent side of things because I
Mm.
think personally, parenting is the toughest job in the world. I have a grown son and two daughters, and I do this do this work for a living, and I muck it up on a grand scale on a regular basis. But we don't manual. There isn't a follow these 3 steps and you'll be a brilliant parent because each child is different. So you've got to change your parenting styles according to your kid as well. And then when you put the idea that there's a student athlete involved, they're now in the world of athleticism, right? They're in that world. Then now I have a tendency, and I've had to work hard at this because both my girls play soccer, and I used to play soccer, not at any level, but I used to play. And so I have a tendency to live vicariously through my daughter's eyes, and that can turn out to being controlling, over demanding, right? And why did you miss that? And being very critical of what they're doing because we go, well, I would never have done that,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
totally.
Yeah.
And it's like your kids become your biggest mirror of like just in all the
Hmm.
ways, right? It's the
Yeah,
biggest growth opportunity.
absolutely.
And I'm curious, do you see any like specific mindset traps that parents fall into? Like, how do
Yes.
you coach the parents to move, from those traps of just like, because you work with these parents of athletes. So, like, what are some things that you notice that parents need some
Some
mindset work
coaching on,
around
yeah,
or?
the big one is when the game is done, that is not your time to be a coach. That is not your time to be critical, to pick up on the flaws, to do anything. It's not even your time to overly congratulate the kid either, because then what you do by focusing on the game and the result is you're telling your kid that they are only good if they're playing well or if they win, and they're
Mm.
not good if they lose. And so the idea of being a parent after a game is simply say, I love watching you play. If you say those 5 words, it's fantastic. You could say that and be done. But then invite them in to a conversation about what they enjoyed and what they learned. Your job is to be a mirror for them to say, "Hey, what did you learn in that game today?"
I
Right?
love that.
And
And
then
then they
and then
look for
let the
the
kids
opportunity.
yeah, let the kids talk. And if they don't want to talk, then don't talk about it. Just be quiet. Thank
Mhm.
you very much. Let's talk about something else, right? And let the kid lead that conversation. If they've had a bad game, you could say something like, "Do you know, I love how you competed though. I love how you showed up and you
Wow.
didn't give up." Right? Those types of things, because now you're focusing on value rather than outcome. And kids
Mm.
need to hear that more. I value you no matter what you have gone through, no matter what the result. And I see these values in you. And if I see these values in you, then they're much more likely to come alive in their life beyond sport.
That is so empowering, even just hearing that. I feel
Mm.
like it like heals the inner child, just like hearing those things. Like it's because it's not all about winning. And I
Yes.
and I do think, I think like my dad, for example, he did such a beautiful job. And I do know that like my competitive nature comes from that like make sure you win
Yeah.
mentality.
Yeah.
Like, but not in like an overly negative way, but very much like focusing on winning
Right.
versus like the enjoyment of the game,
Yeah,
you
we've
know?
talked about that before. Your dad being very positive and very good for you, but at the same time, bringing in this competitive nature that we live in. And we live from our parents' input, right? And
Mhm.
and there are times, right? I've sat there and I've looked back at my dad, and I'm like, I never liked that about him, right? He would always jump in and fix things. So if I couldn't do something, he would jump in and do it because no one could do it like dad did,
Mm,
right? And so I learned,
yeah,
okay, I don't really want to do this task. I'm just going to muck
yeah.
it up a little bit because I know dad will jump in. Right. And so having kids now, I see them doing something and I have this massive urge to step in and do it for them because they're not doing it right. So I have to step back and go, don't do that. And I've learned, that's a learned behavior that I've had to, okay, hold, let them struggle. Because the best thing we can do as parents is actually let our kids struggle. Because the more they
Oh
struggle
my gosh.
with these little things here, the more we're equipping them to be successful in life.
Oh my gosh, that's so spot on. And like I could see so many things as you were saying that, Tony, of like, what my parents or my dad did and said that now I do that too. So it's like reprogramming on multiple
Yeah,
levels.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
I'm really, really encouraging everybody to really have that takeaway that you said earlier of like when your child or your partner or somebody finishes something
Mhm.
important to not be overly emphasizing on whether they won or lost, but what
Yeah,
they learned. I
yeah,
love that
yeah,
so much because it's the same thing with business owners. You have a launch, you have this really big thing,
yeah,
and sometimes it doesn't go the way that you want it to go. But instead of being like, oh, you failed, what did you learn from this? Like,
yeah,
what is that? There's always an opportunity for that. So
yeah,
I really, really love that.
yeah. And it's all about growth. It's all about development. And the more they can grow and develop as human beings, the better. And this goes for everyone, but especially parents of kids, is this is not your journey. It's theirs.
Mm.
Right? And too many times as a parent, we latch on to their journey as an athlete and we want to run it. No, 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 no. Step back. Let them experience this journey as an athlete. Support them, promote
So
them,
beautiful.
be positive, be encouraging, all of that sort of stuff. But let them fail,
Yeah.
let them struggle, let them hit that wall every now and again. What lesson did you learn?
I love that. And I remember you talking something about like turning pressure into power. Is that like pre-game? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that question. You're
Mm.
leading the show here. This is awesome. It's actually this idea that we have naturally so as human beings, we step into a competitive environment, a game. We're going to have fear about that game and fear, anxiety, all of that good stuff. It's a natural response to in the human brain, fight, flight, or freeze. Part of the brain goes, careful, you might lose, you might embarrass yourself. So it's scary. And if I say I am nervous, I am
Mm.
scared, then it becomes all of us and we tense up and we become
Mm.
that, what we say we are. But if we actually sit there and say, see anxiety or nervousness, I see that thought, we can now hold it apart from ourselves and then say, what do I want to do with that? Do I want to
Oh.
do I want to use its strength to
Mm.
improve my performance or do I just want to let it go and then trust my training? Because I talk about to athletes a lot. There's actually a monkey in our mind and there are lots of books written about this, by the way. It's faster, stronger and more focused than we are. So when something scares
Mm.
us, right? The monkey jumps in to protect us and goes, run away, get out of here, all ready to fight or whatever. Well, What if, as an athlete, we were aware of this and said, thank you very much. I'm going to use your strength, speed, and focus in this game right
Mhm.
now. So I'm not now fighting against it to get rid of it. I'm embracing it and saying, thank you very much for showing up. Bam, here we go. It's a superpower that we've got. We
I
can use
love
this in
that.
business. We can use this in business all the
Mhm.
time. This launch is scary and I'm nervous. Well, if you're scary and you're nervous, you lose the creativity that's naturally in you, right? Because it's
So true.
right. You're not broad thinking, you're focused into what's going on. Great. I see that I'm nervous about this launch. What can I use in my current
Mm.
state to focus on this and move through it? Yeah.
I love it because I love it's like everything's looking to be met with love. I always love
Hmm.
that reminder because it's like instead of trying to fight with anxiety, it's like
Hmm.
let's welcome it in and
Yeah.
use it. And I do feel like I mean, and let me know what you think about this, like having a little bit, maybe this is like the anxious person in me, but I'm
Hmm.
like having some anxiety before you do something like actually makes you perform better in a weird way. Like when
100%.
you welcome it, do you
Yeah.
find that like
100%.
the nerves or
Yep.
like the butterflies or
Yeah.
all of that, it's like it shows you care.
100%. That's what I tell my athletes all the time. I'm so thankful that you're nervous. Yes, you should feel nervous. Don't be nervous, feel nervous.
Yeah.
Because
Whoa, that
because
right there.
right. Don't be it, feel it, because then if you feel it, it shows you care, and now you can use
Yeah.
that nerves and refocus it into something different. And
Mm,
I always say anxiety, fear, any emotion, it's just a sign to us. It's a signal that our body wants something, right? And it's trying to tell us something.
mhm.
So it's like a lighthouse saying, be careful, be cautious, whatever it is. But
Yeah.
what we want to be able to do is understand what that is asking of us and then use it.
Mhm.
So feel it, don't live in it, right? Right?
Mm, yeah.
Fearful, anxious, whatever emotion you can think of. We don't need to live in it. We just need to experience it. And there's a difference there because living in it just makes it all about that's all that I'm at then. You get nervous
Yeah.
people, anxious people, worrying people, pointless. They're living in it. We want to actually
Yeah.
experience it. Oh, yeah, there you go. There's nerves again. Here we go. This podcast is a perfect example, right? I'm launching this
Yeah.
podcast. I haven't gone live yet. You are my third recording. So next week it will start to go live. I'm nervous. I can feel the nerves. And so I feel the nerves and I go, okay, let's step into this. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's
Because,
like it's meaningful.
yeah.
And that's where being an athlete, like I think trains you for that because
Hmm.
I don't know about anybody here listening, but I think every single time before a game or a match, I always felt not a game, but a match
Hmm.
or a competition, I always felt nervous.
Yeah.
I was always like, oh my gosh, why do I do this again to myself? And
Yeah.
then afterwards, you're like on this high, you're
Yeah.
like, oh, this is why I do
This
it,
is
you
why I
know?
do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I coach my daughter's teams and I'm old now, but I've been playing for years. Before every game,
Mhm.
all the way through my adulthood, I would feel a sense of butterflies and nervousness. I didn't know what it was then, but I do now. Before every game I coach, still to this day, I feel that sense of nerves. And I go, cool.
Yeah.
That means I still care. I'm glad that I'm
Oh.
feeling this. Thank you for being here. And thank you for showing that I care about this game and these kids enough to have that sense of nervousness.
This is huge for anybody who's
Hmm.
listening, who's wanting to step more into their business, their gifts, creating content, launching a
Yeah.
podcast, launching that new offer, like learning to embrace this part
Yeah.
right here. Like it's not, you're not supposed to be numb to your
Yeah.
feelings as you're going to do the thing. And as you mentioned, the action is what's going to create the confidence. So
100%.
as cheesy as it sounds, like just do it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I know. Right. But but that's the thing. We don't know as human beings too
Yeah.
much. Our body does not like discomfort. Because it's scary because the brain wants us in our comfort zone, and in our comfort zone there is no discomfort, right? But it's safe, and in our comfort zone we stay alive, right? But we
Mhm.
also kind of die a slow death because nothing exciting's happening.
100%.
So the discomfort you feel about stepping out and starting that new business, stepping out and launching, going into a competition, playing this game on Saturday that my kid's friend is playing, that discomfort is there to be, oh, okay, this is good. Step
Mm.
into that regardless. And once you start experiencing it on a regular basis, you can then start to say, haha, there's that discomfort again, which means something is going right. I'm going in the right direction because I'm stretching myself ever so slightly.
Yeah. And I love this so much because I think at some point when you're starting to practice like embracing those feelings as you're expanding, you actually crave more of that. Because
Hmm.
as you mentioned, if you're just in your comfort zone, you might not feel those kind of fears
Hmm.
and anxieties, but at the same time, you're also not feeling fully alive.
Right.
Like now when I feel those expansive feelings, I'm like, yes, it means I'm growing. It means
Yeah.
I'm expanding. Like, but you don't learn these, things until you're in it and you're
Right.
like,
Yep.
this is where the magic is. This is what
Absolutely.
it means to be a human,
Yep.
right? Just
100%.
expanding in all the ways.
Yeah. And
Oh my
as
gosh, I love that.
parents need to understand that about their kids. Yeah, it's okay that you're feeling nervous. I'm glad that you are. And kids need to go, oh, this is a good thing. This means I can. And then there are routines that we can get into about how to focus that and how to get your mind in a game ready position. But we are about coming up to time. We could talk for hours on this subject.
For
We could
hours.
keep going. We could probably have 3 podcasts on this and still have more to say to each other. Uh,
I agree completely. One last thing that I want to say is I have always wanted to know what goes on. Like, so I love soccer. I know you love soccer
yeah.
too. And I've always wanted to know what goes on with the athletes at, the halfway mark when they go into the locker room and they're kind of like getting each other pumped up. What could somebody like, because you've been in those situations, like what can somebody who's listening, who's an entrepreneur, take from those moments where maybe something's not going right and they have that
Yeah.
halftime? Like, what would you say to them right now if they're like, this isn't going as I want it to? What is a little mindset shift that
That
we can embody that would
such a cool
happen in
question.
a locker room?
Yeah, I love that question because obviously I give halftime talks, right? Because I'm coaching. And there are some times when I'm almost saying, "Hey, keep doing what you're doing." Right? Keep the energy there, keep it going, keep doing what you're doing. But there are other times where I'm like, "What the heck is that?" Cuz that's not what we expect and that's not what we practice. And so I think it's constantly being aware of where our business is and what's going on and if something's not going right. And then purposefully taking the time to sit and go, what am I doing now? Get some outside guidance. And it's funny that you would bring this up right now because I am in that moment with my business right now. I am, this isn't necessarily going kind of like where I thought it was going, right? Because I thought it was going to be clubs and da da da. Anyway, so I've actually had to stop, sit, breathe, and then I've called 5 or 6 very close people, friends of mine, to say, hey, can you give me some guidance? I want to grab a coffee with you. I'm going to share and then get their input. It could be a coach, it could be a work colleague, it could be a very good friend, it could be
Mhm.
a mentor, whoever it is. Take a half-time break, take 15 minutes and go, where am I? Because it might be that you just need to be told, hey, actually keep doing what you're doing. You might not see it, you might not feel it. And I have athletes come off at halftime going, I'm having a horrible half. I'm like, no, you're not. You're doing great. Keep doing what you're doing. It's fantastic.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
you might need the other side of that going, what the heck are you doing? Because that's not what you practiced. What do you need to do to change to get back on track? And sometimes you need a kick up the arse. We do need that.
So true. So true. And I'm hearing like again the importance of having that coach and
Yes.
that outside guidance that's
Yep.
like, hey, you might not be seeing this play, this thing, this
Mhm.
shift.
Yep.
And also that belief of like, let's go out there and let's keep iterating to
Yeah.
make sure that we get the results that we're looking for.
Yeah.
So I love that
Absolutely.
so much, Tony.
Yeah, that was a
Thank you
brilliant, brilliant
so
question.
much. I've literally always said, I'm like, it would be so cool if there was like a show that covered like what goes on at those
Yeah.
halftime locker
Halftime
rooms.
talks.
I mean, I freaking love soccer. I'm going to be watching soccer today. We got some MLS Cup finals or whatever it is. I'm going to be watching it. I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to know what's
Yeah.
going on before that game, during, that
Yeah.
halftime. and also after. So I love that I get a glimpse into that from you, Tony. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me on and just for being the amazing
Yeah.
coach you are to others and for sharing your wisdom today. I know this is going to be on my podcast and yours. So
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful that we got to have this conversation.
Yeah, and I'm back at you. I'm so thankful for the work that you do, the platform that you provide, the coaching that you provide. We came into this saying, let's do a joint podcast, not knowing what a joint podcast even looks like. But I think we actually nailed it. I think we've got a joint podcast here. Business,
I do too.
sports, parenting. I think it all connected.
It did. And if you're a young, like a past athlete or you're a parent of a young
Yeah.
athlete, repost this. Let us know if this resonated with you. I want to hear people's golden nuggets of what they
Yeah.
took from this.
Yeah, me too. All right. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Annette. And
Tony.
tune in next time because we'll have more nuggets just like this. All right. Thanks for joining me on the Confidence to Action podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with another parent, coach, or athlete who's ready to grow. For more mindset tools and coaching resources, visit mpbcoaching.com. Until next time, stay focused, stay confident, and keep turning your confidence into action.